Greetings, horror fans. This is the introduction to a new series on my YouTube channel. I'm known as Midnight Researcher, and this is the podcast that we are going to be doing, called Nightly Nuance. Now, we were supposed to be joined by another co-host called Weary Rainbow, some of you may be familiar with, but unfortunately, real-life issues had to have them not attend this first episode, but hopefully we will get to see them in a future episode of the podcast. I'm joined here today by two people who are Terra the Android enthusiasts, and that is the main subject we're going to be discussing today. I'm joined by James, aka Crappy Pastry 99, and Truth Is Scarier. Welcome, you guys.
Hello.
Hello. Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
Of course. And just so everyone can know, James is using text-to-speech because something's up with his voice, and we don't want to strain him at all, so that's why it's a robot voice when James is speaking, so we'll try and give him ample time to answer some questions and everything like that, So, how are the both of you today, and are you ready to talk about some Terra stuff?
I'm good, and I am ready.
Good. I'm ready.
Okay, so let's, I guess, start out with a simple question. Again, for the audience out there, this is kind of might be more of a rougher episode since I've never really done anything like this before, so we're just going to test and see what works. Maybe start out with a simple Q&A segment and then see where it goes. So, for the first question, I guess we'll start with Truth Is Scarier, and then James can also be typing up his response as Truth Is Scarier is answering, so he can answer right after, is, how did you guys find out about Terra the Android, and what about Terra and John Bergeron has been so appealing to you?
For me, I believe around 2015-ish is both when I started my channel, actually, and when I got into kind of online horror in general. I probably first saw Terra either in like a generic top 10 creepy videos on YouTube video, or in a video by Scare Theater or Takedown Man. I do remember watching both of those videos back when they were uploaded. And it was just really creepy. It definitely, even after, all these years, seeing Terra the Android, watching that video was definitely the scary video that really resonated with me, that really, stuck with me. I guess because, it's a robot.
It's got a very ethereal quality to it, don't you say?
Yes, I agree. Especially since, building robots aren't exactly easy. With something like, other scary videos, anybody can dress up in makeup or make like a simple costume. Robots are definitely something that takes quite a bit of effort to do, which kind of made Terra stand out, And of course, the legends behind it, the creepypastas behind it, that was definitely part of the appeal for me.
All right, and yeah, James, if you want to take over here, you definitely can. What's your answer?
My grandfather was a Terra enthusiast in the mid-90s, and I found out through him who she was. He bought tapes of her in the late 90s and early 2000s.
Yeah, that was definitely one of the most interesting things, is that there were actually people who were, talking to John Bergeron before the whole, creepy blog video got uploaded in 2009, which was the viral first video that most people got introduced to Terra with.
I forgot to do this because I'm very unprofessional about this, I guess. Just take a minute, both of you, to describe who you are online so people can get to know who's giving their opinions and stuff. Like, I think you both have YouTube channels and everything like that. So please tell us a little bit about yourself. Sorry for me forgetting that.
All right. I'm Truth Is Scarier Than Fiction. I run a YouTube channel that mostly deals with kind of online mysteries, weird stuff, cryptozoology, obviously Terra the Android, stuff like that.
And James?
I'm James Marget, whose grandfather was a serious Terra enthusiast.
And from what I've seen, you're just a general internet user who has a fascination with this case of Terra the android. Not nothing really
Indeed.
nothing really more to it than that. But I'm still glad to have both of you on here because you have some great insight into this case that I don't think a lot of the people who would have watched the more viral videos about Terra would actually even know. Like,
Thank you.
Truth is Scarier, you made... do you go by anything else other than Truth is Scarier? Because that's a little bit of a mouthful for the
Oh, yeah,
podcast.
just call me Truth. I forgot. Just
Okay.
call me Truth.
Yeah, no problem. So, Truth, what gave you the idea to sort of make more in-depth videos on Terra that might have led you to cover ground that a lot of other people would have, but also maybe dig deeper? Did you think that you found anything that would give you more insight into it, or did you just want to?
Personally, when I first did a video on Terra the Android like many years ago, and it was not good. I was like speculating. I kind of Google searched John Bergeron, and oh, this guy's name is John Bergeron, and he released a song years ago. Is this the same guy? Stuff like that, and it wasn't until years afterwards, in 2020 or 2021, where I kind of got back on YouTube and I saw this tweet from, I think it was a tweet from Barely Sociable. I don't know if you're familiar with him. He's another big mystery YouTuber. And he was like, if you're going to make a YouTube video, do it on something, nobody else is doing, or do it in a unique way. So I kind of got the idea to back and really like look through Terra the Android, because it was still such a fascinating video to me, still something that I hadn't solved. And in doing so, I found a whole bunch more about Terra the Android. I found I believe a Reddit subreddit, very small subreddit, but it had a couple scattered posts about John Bergeron from different years, and then through that post and through looking more into some of the things in that post, looking through some usernames, some aliases John made, I was able to find out a whole bunch more information about him.
And so you think that, you just wanted to make videos to help spread the word about the real case of Terra the Android and not this whole creepy murderer in the woods kind of thing?
Yep, that's another one. I don't think I believed ever, the whole creepypasta thing, even when I first saw the video as a kid. But during when I came back and actually made the better video on Terra the Android, that was one of the things that really stuck out to me as something cool I could do, because looking through the new information I found, it 100% guaranteed that Terra the Android, was not a serial killer. John Bergeron was not, a weird criminal or anything like that. And being able to get, his actual motivations for building Terra the Android was really cool.
I think it's really kind of weird for me personally just to see how in the wrong place at the right time with internet content, that the broader communities that discover that content can twist it in very, very weird ways and make rumors based on nothing but, hey, this looks really creepy. This is probably what's behind it, even though there's no evidence to support that at all. And that's obviously the case of what happened with I Feel Fantastic and the whole original poster of the viral version of it on YouTube.
It is really bizarre with how all that went down, especially since when the original upload was made, not the original, but when the creepy blog upload was made, the description was all talking about how John was creepy, but in like a different way, and like, the description was saying that, oh, John made this as his Pygmalion, his statue of like a perfect woman or something, which obviously isn't true, but it's also a far-fetched from, the people who are saying that Terra the Android is like a serial killing robot. Kind of weird how that's switched.
it's very, very, it's a unique phenomena, I guess we can ascribe it to be. But I guess I should ask this is, since a lot of people who are viewing this might not even know what we're talking about, which, if you don't, then you should go look it up. But anyway, for the people who just want to hear us, I guess I'll ask you, both of you guys, for your interpretations, is how would you describe the phenomenon of I Feel Fantastic / Terra the Android / John Bergeron to somebody who has no idea what it is, has never heard of it before, but wants to know? Because that's what we're trying to do here, is we're trying to spread the message via this podcast and just talk about stuff.
Essentially, Terry the Android is an android, a real-life robot that was built, that was featured in a music video called I Feel Fantastic, where Terra uses a robot voice to, I guess, quote, sing over a kind of synthetic track. Now, due to Terra's robot voice, it has sort of a creepy atmosphere to it, a creepy kind of aspect to it. So when Terra's music video, I Feel Fantastic, was uploaded to YouTube in 2009, it sort of went viral. Since A, it's pretty creepy, and B, there was not really any information online about Terra the Android. At that point, people saw this, random music video out of context that on its own was pretty creepy. And a bunch of rumors started flying about what the video was, and it went extremely viral, getting millions of views. People analyzing it got millions of views. And it started a kind of online rumor that either Terra the Android or her creator, John Bergeron, was a serial killer, which is a rumor that kind of still goes on to this day.
Yeah, as recently as a couple of weeks ago, I think one of the people in our community that we'll touch on later posted a video that somebody else had made on TikTok and YouTube, completely just regurgitating the urban legend about how John Bergeron was a killer who took victims' clothes and put them on Terra, and all this nonsense. And it didn't even elaborate on the fact that it could have been not the case, and just showed the video. And doubtless it has attracted a lot of people who might not know as much about the case, and just children that are going to assume the worst because, hey, look, it's something creepy online and must have creepy backstory to it if it's creepy looking. So
yeah, it is a shame. I was actually a little bit surprised. Occasionally I searched YouTube for, I Feel Fantastic videos on that. And if you searched by like the most recent uploads, I was still seeing, semi-frequent videos every couple of weeks that were saying, Terra the Android was a serial killing robot, or John Bergeron was a serial killer. And these were videos that were getting uploaded 12, 13 years after the original.
Yeah.
And even like 6 or 7 years after like the whole thing went viral in like 2015-ish. The whole story behind it.
Yeah, that's an excellent way to put it. As far as James goes, James has a bit of a unique perspective, like he mentioned before. If you don't mind, of course, James, would you want to tell the audience a little bit of history about how your grandfather got involved with Terra and how that led to you getting involved in Terra? Might take a little bit for him to type it up, so we'll be patient.
Sure. It will take forever to type, though.
I can
that's okay.
Sort of summarize it if you need. Basically, I believe I came across James on Reddit, I want to say, and we started chatting. So in the late 90s, to sort of summarize it, James's grandfather actually contacted John because John was online posting about the robots he was making. And John, I believe, sold James's grandfather some VHS tapes of early Terra the Android and other robots he was working on.
That is correct.
Yeah,
So
and
James, yeah.
I
Oh,
think.
no.
Sorry, just to take over a little bit. I believe recently James uncovered these VHS tapes and began to look into them and post images of whatever he could about them and restore them as much as he could. And that honestly was one of the many sparks that sort of reignited the interest in finding out what exactly was going on with Terra the Android aside from all the rumors. And James has brought a little community together in that sense.
Yes, it was an absolutely incredible find. Like before before you found out about James's VHS tapes, I think the only person who really like knew John and was online active was the guy who ran AndroidWorld.com, which basically was an early 2000s website that featured Terra the Android as one of the robots it was talking about. But before that, I don't think anybody had like any, personal connection to John at all. If you're unfamiliar with James's tapes, by the way, VHS tapes kind of tend to degrade over the years, and I think they're 22, 23 years old at this point. James, you can correct me if I'm wrong on that, but they aren't very high quality. There's a lot of static on them, and there's a lot of stuff that unfortunately we couldn't save or restore. But there is, again, a lot of new photos, new videos that we got from it, which is extremely impressive.
Some recoverable tapes and stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
And it is like all new stuff too. It's a lot different from the music video type stuff that went viral.
And I believe, just a fun fact here, I believe that the TTS that James is using right now is actually the same one that was used for most of the John Bergeron androids e-speak, right?
Yes.
Yeah, just a little fun fact there. The capabilities of these androids weren't that high. They were mostly just used for, and John Bergeron admitted to this themselves, they weren't going to be taking over people's lives. They weren't taking jobs. They weren't able to drive your car. They weren't able to make you a sandwich. They were mostly entertainment based, and he was just trying to make an industry, and it kind of went the wrong direction when people found his somewhat creepy looking music videos and started making rumors about them.
Yes, well, I believe there was sort of a gap when, the videos kind of went viral and the whole story went out in like 2009, 2010-ish. And I think John Bergeron's last update to the robot was around 2006-ish. So it wasn't like, the internet rumors caused John to flee the internet and give up on the Terra project. I believe it was kind of not working as he wanted it to. If that makes sense.
Yeah. I'd actually been wanting to get into that because there's been some speculation back and forth that John Bergeron is actually more accurately known as John Bergeron Jr., and that there's been some debate over whether the John Bergeron in question who made the Terra, the android, is deceased or not, because there was a report uncovered about a John Bergeron passing away. Do we want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so if you've looked at John Bergeron, you might have actually heard this in other YouTuber videos. In 2005, I don't want to get too specific into addresses, but John was pretty open about living in Vermont. So in 2005, a man by the name of John L. Bergeron unfortunately passed away in Vermont. And a lot of YouTubers found this obituary online, and they took it to mean as, John, the creator of Terra the Android, died in 2005, and that's why the whole, there stopped being video updates to Terra, which, there did stop being video updates to Terra around that time. However, if you look further into the story, you can find out that John Bergeron actually had a son by the same name named John Bergeron Jr. And it makes more sense for John Bergeron Jr. to be the person who was building Terra, because for one, there was actually updates to Terra's website months after John Bergeron Sr. died, and two, everything else Again, don't want to get into specifics,
Right.
but the publicly listed address and all that stuff lines up with John Bergeron Jr. being the one to have built the robot. So as far as we can tell, 99% chance, 99.9% chance, John Bergeron, the creator of Terra the Android, is still alive, or at least didn't pass away in 2005.
As far as we know, he's still alive somewhere, probably doing his best to conceal his presence from everybody, and who can blame
Right.
him for more than half the internet calling him a murderer, but
Yes.
that's what
I
we're
believe
kinda
in
trying to disprove.
yes. I believe in 2015-ish, I saw this is all secondhand info, but I saw people talking about how a John Bergeron was on Twitter or some website like that, and he ended up getting ran off the website just by people, commenting, "Oh, you're a murderer," all this stuff to him,
Oh, I
which
actually
is,
hadn't heard about this. Can you tell me more?
yes. I can dig up the original post later, but from what I can tell, around 2015, when there were a lot of viral videos around talking about how John Bergeron was like a serial killer and this stuff, people tried to start contacting him,
Yeah.
and it might have been a case of mistaken identity, but there are people saying that there was a John Bergeron Twitter account that people started, contacting and maybe even harassing, and that
After
caused
that, John is living really distantly from the net.
Oh, I don't quite know what happened there, but yeah.
Yeah, so after 2015-ish, I think that's the last time anybody has even claimed to have contacted John Bergeron online. And I'm not sure if that was actually John Bergeron's real Twitter account, the same John Bergeron, or mistaken identity, but that is definitely one of the reasons that if John is still out there, he's probably, completely distancing himself from Terra the Android, like James said.
And yeah, moving to more of a by the way, we're troubleshooting some things with James's TTS in the background here, but trying to keep the show going a little bit. Is question that I have is this whole modern effort. I'm talking about this year. What would you say were the origins of that? Because some people have said that it was your video truth that sort of sparked the whole modern community. Other people have said it was James and Reddit. In your guys' opinion, what sort of sparked our little specific community that, again, we'll get into a little bit later, but yeah, what is in your opinion what started this whole modern effort?
Definitely James. James was, I can actually dig up my original chats, but before I contacted James, I made my original video on Terra the Android with everything I could find online. And then that was just it for me. Unless, I found something big, I wasn't going to make another video. There just wasn't anything else to make a video on. So I occasionally would, go through Google search Android, see if there was any updates to it. And then I was invited to a group chat by James. Because I've seen him on Reddit.
James is just saying now, by the way, James is going to switch over to the text chat because the text-to-speech is kind of going haywire. That's okay. We're going to still do our best to include James in here because he's a very influential figure in what we're doing here.
Yes.
And James says, probably the Reddit group chat with me, Trip, and Truth. We uncovered a lot over there. Yeah.
Absolutely. That was where we first started sharing the old VHS tapes. And then B, that Reddit group eventually turned into a Discord and a whole bunch of people doing the search, which...
Can you say those words again? You cut out a little bit.
Oh, okay. I definitely agree. It was the Reddit group chat and James's VHS tapes, which sort of inspired a lot more people to start looking for Terra the Android.
Yeah, and I guess... getting more into that there is an actual community. It's a server, and I believe there's a little bit of more of the community on Skype and Reddit, I believe. I'm not familiar with those personally, but I know that we 100% have a Discord server called the Terror the Android Investigation, and we're trying to just piece everything together there to form our own answers and see if we can get in touch with anybody who was involved in the Terror the Android project to figure out definitively what is going on, and to definitively end the John Bergeron serial killer rumors that have been just plaguing the internet. So, and this is directly to you, the audience. If you would like to join the Discord server and join our investigation, there will be a link in the description box. We ask that you please be respectful, follow the rules there, and don't harass anybody. And don't troll. We'll get into why that's an issue too. Because there was a little incident. And yes, James also has a link on his channel if you'd want to go check that out too. Both these guys' channels will be linked in the description. Truth makes amazing content, and James is heading the investigation, so I recommend you guys both, all of you guys out there, go check these guys out on YouTube and any of their other social medias. But the earlier days of the community were kind of led astray, to put it very lightly. Do we want to talk about Trip?
Yeah, so there was kind of a hoax a while back. You can actually see it covered on my YouTube channel about somebody who claimed to have owned like the actual Terror the Android. And long story short, it was a hoax, unfortunately.
Yeah, this individual had pretended to be a woman called Laura, who claimed to own the... Yeah, Trip was acting as 2 people, and then 3 people at one point, but Trip, this person, who, no disrespect to him, he's apologized after the fact, but just for the record, this is how it happened. This person, Trip, had impersonated a person called Laura, who claimed to own the original Terror the Android robot, and was supposedly in the process of sending it to James here, who... Obviously, James is a big Terra enthusiast, so it would have been amazing if we could have gotten our hands on the original Android. But, as the days went by, the responses from Laura got shorter and shorter, and more time in between the responses was happening. But eventually there was this, what we thought at the time was a breakthrough. We thought we had gotten in contact with the actual John Bergeron himself through a card that he had supposedly left to Laura. And, funny story, I was actually in the process of trying to get John Bergeron for an interview, and it was, I prepared a lot for it, and I remember it specifically because I had a friend over at the time. We were going to a convention, and it was the day before the convention. We were both in the hotel room. I had jumped through several hoops to try and make this Discord call with John Bergeron happen. First, it was a phone call that kept not working for reasons that were found out to be excuses. Then the Discord call was not working for reasons we found to be excuses. And, then it came out that John Bergeron wasn't real. Or this John Bergeron was not the real John Bergeron. And then a couple days later, we found out that Laura was also not real. And it was all just... one person pulling the strings from a distance, and that kind of set us back a lot. But I think there was actually a newfound sense of determination from that whole thing, because even after that whole hoax had happened, there was some new developments. Like I think just the other day we found that... Did you see, Truth, that we found that guy who actually had worked on the audio for some of the videos? Or
no, I did not see that, actually. That is pretty cool.
And yes, James says it did really disappoint most of the people in the server. But no, there was this other person, I don't remember... Actually, let me pull it up so I'm not just talking off the top of my head. There was this person who had made a couple of really surreal Terror the Android related music videos, and just videos on a YouTube channel, and we managed to find them. Yeah, Webdelic. Yes, James, Webdelic, or however you pronounce it. Webdelic. And apparently this person had actually worked somewhat closely with a person who worked under John Bergeron in making the original actual music videos, and we got in contact with that person. And so, yeah. Just goes to show that even though we had that whole hoax a couple weeks back, shouldn't set us back from trying to find out everything we can about Terror the Android.
Yeah, for those unfamiliar who think that Webdelic might be a little familiar kind of in the back of their heads, Webdelic was actually posting some Terror the Android music videos all the way back in 2010, so kind of before Terror went extremely viral.
And just recently...
And they had yeah.
Oh, sorry. No, go ahead.
Yeah, they had a YouTube channel from 2010 that was still kind of posting occasional videos into today, so that was a pretty cool find.
Unfortunately, they didn't stay in the server for too long, but they did give us some info. Any other contact information that we could have gotten out of them was dead end. But, I think it was still pretty cool and pretty telling of the fact that we were able to find somebody that close to the original videos. And James says he was the first known guy to upload all the music videos. Yeah, I didn't actually know that. That's, again, really telling that we were able to find that out.
Yeah, one thing people might not know. So there's the original I Feel Fantastic video that was uploaded in 2009. But that was actually part of a DVD that had, I believe, 4 other music videos on it. So there was I Feel Fantastic, a music video called Brutal, I believe, and a couple other ones. So most people are familiar with I Feel Fantastic, but there are a couple other music videos that were kind of part of the same set, which is what Webdelic was uploading.
James asks, are we going to talk about the Kai and the Android music videos channels and Flickr pages? I'm not aware of these. What are these?
Oh, yeah. So this is the little bit of sleuthing I did, and Oni did, who's a guy on our Discord. So let's talk about Android music videos.
Mm-hmm.
So Android music videos was the name of one of John Bergeron's original GeoCities websites. So, since he used that name, people were like, let's search for it online, see what comes up. And we were actually able to uncover a YouTube channel from 2007, early 2007, which is before Creepy Blog went viral, before the original I Feel Fantastic video went viral, and B, it's pretty much 99% connected to John Bergeron because it has the same name as what he used on his website, and it had a music video from John years before pretty much anybody else had an interest in Terror the Android, which was extremely cool. And there was the music video for Terror the Android on that channel, and also a odd 1-minute video on sustainability and environmentalism, which I don't think is connected. Have you seen? I'll send you a photo of it here.
No, I haven't seen these.
I don't think it's connected at all, but it is.
James says, and Webdelic says Halloween Android was also John's. What's Halloween? I think
Halloween.
I don't
Android.
Yeah, I think Halloween Android was it was up for debate whether it's John Bergeron's. I think we're currently debating that in our Discord, right? That's I don't know about it. Maybe Truth, you can fill me in on this too.
Yeah, so Halloween Android was another YouTube channel that was uploading Terror the Android videos, and this was around 2009, 2010 when the original I Feel Fantastic video got uploaded. So Webdelic claims that was John Bergeron who uploaded it. I'm not sure about that because it's kind of hard to tell whether or not somebody who uploaded a Terror the Android video was John Bergeron or just somebody who had access to the video somehow.
Honestly, if this was back then, YouTube used to show you a lot more information about who was behind the accounts, but now with how many times they've changed how they show the data and how many times they've changed their layouts, it could be next to impossible. But that brings us to another thing that I think is worth mentioning, is that Truth, myself, and James have all discovered that the Wayback Machine from the Internet Archive has been a godsend to a lot of what we've been trying to dig up, if we want to get into some of that.
Yeah, before I should talk about Kai2468.
Oh yeah,
So
right.
yeah,
Sorry.
so another bit of internet sleuthing is while I was looking around on coincidentally on the Wayback Machine, there was a Gmail address. I think it was Gmail with the name Kai 2468 at gmail.com. So since it was an alias, I kind of searched it up, and lo and behold, John Bergeron had a, can't remember if it was Flickr. Yes, it was a Flickr account that basically had a couple of odd photos on it. Nothing related to androids, but it had it was a Yahoo Gmail account or a Yahoo email account.
How did you find out that Kai was John Bergeron?
Well, there was he made it really easy because there was a photo that appeared on the Terror the Android website and a photo that appears on the Flickr account that's signed by John Bergeron.
Oh.
So,
James describes it like almost like architecture photos with random addresses on it.
Yeah, the photos are all really weird. There's one that's almost looks like a burned set of squares and circles. That's the one that's signed by John Bergeron. There's one that looks like a circuit in a in a circle. I'll include photos, or I have all these photos, I believe, in one of my YouTube videos. Mm-hmm. If you want to see it for yourself. Otherwise, you can search Kai2468 on Flickr. And then, like James says, there's one that appears to be some sort of architecture thing. It includes a circle and a square, and then it's copyrighted by John Bergeron, and there's little text bubbles, not bubbles, but squares saying building, perimeter road, park, farmland, fish farm, gym, condos, industrial park. That kind of suggests that maybe John had some interest in architecture or mapping or something like that. Which we didn't know about. I'm still not quite sure what the image actually is, but it is definitely a new discovery and some interesting addition to the case.
Yeah, James says John is currently so distant from the internet, it's almost scary. Yeah, it's really kind of interesting that we can find so much about what he's left, but, he doesn't really have a footprint as far as modern social media or anything like that, and nobody's been able to really get a hold of him.
Yeah, that is... I think it might be connected to all the people attempting to contact him. Because, again, don't, do this. But John did have potentially some accounts online. And John also had, I believe, a phone number that was online for a little bit. And that led to people calling him and, I assume, harassing him, saying stuff like, oh, why'd you build a killer robot? And stuff like that. I'm not sure the veracity of that phone call, but it was one of the more viral videos.
You're talking about the Goddess of the Hobos one, right?
Yes. If you're unfamiliar, what was that?
I think that was the one with the prank channel, right? Goddess of the Hobos?
Yes, Goddess of the Hobos was a prank channel that allegedly called John Bergeron.
And John says after 2007, he basically evaporated from the internet. Yeah, the internet, as far as we know. I mean, I'm assuming he's still alive if the Goddess of the Hobos video is anything to go on. But we don't know if that's actually the John Bergeron who made Terra, because he just would not talk, aside from saying that he was really busy and he didn't feel like talking. So it's weird. And yeah, James says, but otherwise he has almost no trace online anymore. Yeah, and that's kind of what confuses a lot of people. Like, I feel like, obviously it's impossible for me to put myself exactly in John Bergeron's shoes, but I feel like if I were to be assaulted by all these rumors, especially nowadays, and it's still happening with all the opportunities and platforms to sort of announce to the world, hey, this is me, this is what I did with Tara, this is actually what happened, all you guys making serial killer rumors, it really hurts my feelings, you shouldn't do that. And, and I kind of think it would be obvious because there's been no reports to the police or anything like that, and something like that would have been headline news about a serial killer with an android that, he messed around with and his victims. But it's bizarre that John has chosen to take the silent route to all of this, at least in my opinion.
Well, he could have been... I think if he was online and if he was, like, aware of the backlash, it could have been something where, he wakes up one day and all of a sudden he's getting mentions from a bunch of random people asking him if he's a serial killer, and all this weird stuff about a robot project he, had stopped working on almost a decade later. And then he just, doesn't want to deal with it, which I could understand, and kind of withdraws from the internet as a whole, or at least privates some stuff.
Yeah. For all we know, he's still on the internet, just under a completely different handle and identity. So, there's no real correlation with who he was as John Bergeron as to what he does now online, which is kind of sad, because these rumors are just going to keep going unless, somebody definitively ends them by either getting in touch with him or making a convincing enough argument to why the rumors are all fake and what actually was happening with Tara. More on what was actually happening with Tara, though. One of the reasons that I think it's seen as so creepy is because of the creepy blog uploader. Do you guys have any sort of theories as to why creepy blog made it, I guess, painted in such a creepy light with the whole cutting off the video with just that one music video and the whole description and everything?
Yeah, so as a refresher, since this isn't available publicly anymore, Creepyblog uploaded literally just one video under the name Creepyblog and gave it a weird description about John Bergeron, thinking he's made this perfect angel of a creation and stuff like that. If I had to guess, either A, Creepyblog just wanted more views, so he made it, as creepy as possible to confuse people, to make it seem mysterious, or B, Creepyblog just didn't know what it was when he uploaded it, and he kind of made up a description to go along with it.
You think there's any credence to the theory that Creepyblog somehow was John Bergeron?
I don't know about that, because the description of Creepyblog that he puts in his video, I don't see John Bergeron writing that about himself, or anybody writing that about themselves, making themselves out to be a reclusive, sort of creepy weirdo.
I mean, who knows? I'm just kind of reminded of what certain organizations and individuals did to promote their horror movie stuff. Like, I remember there's been some really bizarre marketing campaigns, and it could have been something like that. But I mean, the problem with that theory is that there was no guarantee that the Creepyblog video would go as viral as it did, and it's really weird to think about.
I think a point against trying, it being something where Creepyblog is trying to go viral or trying to get money, is that there's no... I don't think AdSense was as big in 2009 or even available to creators, so there was no guarantee that he was making money there. And then B, there was never any follow-up, there was never any link to promote something. It was just that singular video. And then it was done.
Yeah, just really weird. I guess, yeah, I'm in agreement with you. I just heard that theory of Creepyblog was somehow John Bergeron the whole time in our server and some Reddit posts about Tara the Android, so I thought it's interesting to think about, but again, yeah, it's not very likely considering how it actually happened and was laid out. And James had said, creepy blog probably saw John's videos and wanted to start a creepypasta with a pre-existing video, sort of like Slender Man, which was created in the same year and also blew up in popularity. That's a fair point, even though the description talked about a mythical figure, I believe, and it wasn't really, there wasn't really that much lead for it being a creepypasta, more like just a creepy video that, I don't know, what really confuses me about the creepy blog video is that there would be very little payoff either way for trying to scare people or just to try and get money, and it's really confusing.
Yeah, it is quite an odd one-off video. One thing that I don't think I've even mentioned this before, but Creepyblog mentions that the origins of the video are unknown and it's attributed variously. So that almost makes me think that maybe there was some discussion about I Feel Fantastic before Creepyblog uploaded his video, and that's kind of where he got the description from. Because I know there were apparently other people uploading I Feel Fantastic before 2009.
So you're thinking, sorry to cut you off, but you're thinking that Creepyblog might not have even known what I Feel Fantastic was about before uploading it?
I think so. I think he might have seen it from another source, because I want to say, again, Oni found that a Mr. Oizo, who's actually a musical artist, I believe, was uploading Creepyblog video, or not Creepyblog, was uploading I Feel Fantastic before Creepyblog did. So potentially, potentially, Creepyblog had gotten the video from a third party and just re-uploaded it on YouTube.
I saw that there was a lot of discussion about it on, what was it? Like, not discussion about the video itself, but the Android back when John was still posting on something called Google Groups, and there's been a paper trail that actually goes all the way up to 2013 about it, and maybe, once the actual origins of Terra fell into obscurity, there was some bleed over through some Google Groups communities, and that's sort of how some of the rumors had gotten started. James has to be right back, so he'll be back.
Yeah, that's definitely possible. I haven't looked into the Google Groups that much, but there were people at different points discussing it before Creepyblog went viral. I looked into it a little bit more to refresh my memory. An artist, this is an actual artist too, by the name of Mr. Oizo, that's Mr. Oizo, apparently uploaded a copy of I Feel Fantastic around 2006-ish, and people were actually attributing the video to Mr. Oizo back then. So there was already other people discussing Terror the Android too. Okay, I was looking through the comment section of the 2006 upload when I found a comment saying that I Feel Fantastic was made by a musician called Mr. Oizo. So apparently there was somebody else, taking credit or re-uploading, or Mr. Oizo was taking credit or re-uploading Terror the Android videos. Another interesting thing is that apparently Mr. Oizo was uploading this on MySpace, which...
That's going back in time for sure.
Yeah. I think all the MySpace stuff is lost now, unfortunately, but I'll take a look here.
While you're looking, I think we forgot to mention that Terra the Android was not John Bergeron's only android, and I think other leads have been found out through discovering things about Robo and Annette, if I am reading that right.
Yep, there's Robo, Annette, and Valerie.
Valerie, that's the other one. I guess should we? I guess you guys would know more about the specifics of those than I would. So, would you want to describe? I guess a timeline, I guess, of how John Bergeron developed his androids.
James, if you know anything about EndNet, you can type it in because I'm not as familiar. But from what I can tell, Robo was like a generic kind of robot, built out of metal, very metallic looking, very blocky. And that was John's first robot project. Not, as not nearly as human looking as Terra the Android was. So John made Robo, John made a net later. Going back to the androidworld.com thing, one of the things we found out about John on that website was that he was working on a collaborative robot known as Valerie. Now, unlike Terra, Valerie was supposed to be an android that could actually help people out with like their housework and stuff, doing dishes, stuff like that. And Valerie was a collaborative project that was supposed to actually be a commercial thing that you could buy online or whatever and then set it up in your house and have it do work for you. But from what I can tell, it never really got off the ground. In fact, you can actually Valerie Android. I actually found an article from 2004 on a website called newatlas.com about Valerie. So apparently it was making waves back then, even though it never got off the ground.
James says, Annette was a secondary android, which I don't know if it was complete, but from the pictures I saw back in the early 2000s, she had strawberry blonde and red curly hair with blue eyeliner.
So Annette was it's the robot we know the least about. We're not sure what her purpose was or anything, but we know it was made after Robo and probably some while John was working on Annette and Terra. But from what we can tell, there's no available photos of her online or anything.
I think James had recovered some images from the VHS tapes of the other androids, not just Terra. Do I remember that right?
I know for sure James found a short 1-second clip of Robo moving around, which was pretty cool to see. But other than that, I don't believe there was. James can correct me here, but I think it was just Robo.
Okay, yeah, so it was just a little 1-second clip of Robo. And if I remember correctly, the VHS tapes were, again, like it was stated before, very staticky and inconsistent with their quality, so it was very difficult to restore much of what was able to be found on it. And for everybody out there, I have pinged everybody in the server to ask questions for us, and we've only gotten one response, and it's from one of our users called Jax, and he just asks, he wants to know why was there two versions of Terra, one with the sweater and the one with the black hair and the vampire outfit? I'm not sure what he means by vampire outfit. But...
So if you watch the other Terra the Android videos, Terra kind of switches hairstyles, switches clothes, and I think that's just to show that Terra could switch out outfits and wigs, because again, Terra was supposed to be a commercial project, a singing android who could perform live and stuff. So showing that Terra was kind of customizable was part of the, appeal of Terra, that you could buy something, switch it around, put wigs on it for different shows, like a real musical artist.
I think something.
If I had to guess,
sorry. One thing that a lot of people don't know is that Terra's hair is not like integrated at all. It is it's a wig, and one of the advertising points that John made pretty clear is that you just bought the shell of the android, and you needed to provide your own clothes and a basic wig for Terra to look like she would in the videos. They didn't come with that, or at least he wasn't planning to have them come with that. So whenever he showed Terra, he would show her in different outfits and different hairstyles to sort of show that off. Yeah, basically what you were saying, Truth. And James
says that John states that you can customize her, which you can, if you look on the old Wayback Machine websites, you can actually find a lot of different things he says you can customize. Yeah, for example, James says that there was one where she had silver skin.
Silver skin. Hmm?
I believe that's one of the photos. Because John, yeah, he says he's sending us a photo here.
Because
But if you look through,
I know that Tara
yeah,
had different faces, and I'm not sure what the faces were made out of, but I think they were also like moldable, right?
yeah, I want to say they were like rubber or plastic or something. Or maybe that was the teeth. But yeah, if you look through the Wayback Machine and some older photos of Tara, Tara looks completely different,
This
which is pretty cool. Different wigs, different facial shape.
the one from the '90s, like where she's smiling and everything like that.
Yeah, yeah, different mouth, everything like that.
I gotta say, I find that one to be a lot more actually creepy than the one that everybody finds to be creepy, aka the modern one.
Yeah, the more modern Tara the android is like, I guess it's creepy because it's almost uncanny valley, where it's almost, looks like a human. And then the older Terra one, I think, is creepy because
It doesn't
I
really
don't know,
look like a human.
yeah, it's got like that Freddy Fazbear, kind of
Yeah.
creepy, old, cranky animatronic that you would see in the back of a derelict building somewhere, and it would jump up and like attack you or something like that. But yeah,
Here's something that we were going to ask John, and there was some discussion about it. There's been a bit of a fascination on where exactly the music videos were filmed because it doesn't. It's kind of an unusual room layout for where it was, and the windows seem to be blacked out. Do you guys have any thoughts on that?
I just think for lighting, from what we can see, it was probably in John's house. James just sent us a photo of Terra, the android,
And I'll put that on
one of the
screen for
older
everybody else.
versions, and it's one of the more. Her skin's a lot paler, I think, in this.
Looks like a
She's
ghost,
got a
yeah.
different wig. Yeah, very odd, and red lipstick, which really clashes with the ghostly white pale, silverish skin. But I think what John did for the music videos was he set up Terra the android in his living room and then for lighting purposes probably closed off the windows so there was no sunlight or anything coming in.
James says some theories is that she's in a set to make her look extra tall. And there's been some other discussion on how there's always something stacked behind her, and that's how that she's supported because she can't actually stand up. You can't set the android up straight without supporting it on something, otherwise it would kind of fall apart. And I could see that, but she's 5'10" for a reminder. I did not actually know that. That's actually relatively tall. It's just that I felt like bringing that up just because the whole windows being blacked out thing was one of the things that people would jump to in quote unquote evidence that John Bergeron was some kind of killer. Oh, look, he's filming this and his windows have like trash bags or duct tape or something over them, and that's why he's creepy, blah blah blah.
Yeah, no, if I had to guess, that's just lighting. Especially since back in 2003-ish, 2004, camera quality wasn't as high. Stuff like that. Or, maybe somebody was doing something outside, like his family member was working on the garden or something, and he didn't want them to be in the music video, which, totally understandable.
There's also I think this was the video that was posted after John Sr. had supposedly passed away, and it was the video where the fake finger gets bit off, right?
Yeah, there's a video online, for those who haven't seen it, where John Bergeron is kind of messing with Terry the android, and he takes a long nail, like a 4-inch nail or something like that, and he sticks it through the cheek of Terry the android. The video is called Piercing the Android, and kind of messes around with the fake synthetic skin. And then John sticks his finger in the mouth of Tara
I think it
and
at the
yeah, kind
point
of cuts.
where it's like a new face, right? After he pierces the old face, it switches to a new face that
Yeah,
doesn't have any holes in it, and
yeah, and then he sticks his finger in Tara's mouth, kind of cuts it. He makes a loud "ow" sound, and then it cuts to a photo of or video of a fake finger on the floor, which a lot of people saw that video as like creepy. I just thought it was kind of supposed to be like a joke. There's even a section on one of John's old websites where he says that Tara's made out of hardened rubber. Or Tara's teeth are made out of hardened rubber, and she can't hurt anybody. So
Yeah, I was gonna say it was like a demonstration for this is what's not going to happen. Like she's not going to just bite your finger off if you want to purchase her. But it does kind of the camera goes out of its way to slowly pan down to the fake finger on the floor, and there's like a bit of like watercolored water or ketchup or something like that, where there's supposedly blood near the fake finger, and it slowly zooms in on it. So I can't blame that being seen as creepy just because he or whoever was filming that put so much emphasis on the fact that she bit off the finger and there's blood around it. And James says, yeah, Oni found a YT snapshot that claimed the video was categorized as comedy. I could see that, definitely.
Yeah, it's just edited in like such a weird way that I can't take it seriously.
It's got the 90s aspect to it where a lot of these Terror videos have this Wild West of the internet feel to them, which I think adds to a lot of their creepiness, and how the fact that they were posted 10 years after they were made really added to the fact that people would see them as being creepy.
Yeah.
Bad quality feel, which makes
it had a bad quality feel, which makes it really uncanny. Yeah, I can see that. It's definitely kind of cut together in an odd way. There's really like a complete lack of sound, I think, besides John Bergeron making the ow sound as his finger gets bitten off.
Yeah. The bad quality feel comment, it kind of makes me think if there's any potential for this. I mean, obviously it wasn't the intent, but people have already started making their own Terra-inspired creations that are more horror-oriented, and do you guys think that there's an opportunity for Terra to be marketed as, sort of like a horror icon, or maybe just for some analog horror?
Well, for one point of this, I have definitely seen Terra be used in some smaller scale projects. I would appreciate it if people, obviously you can do what you want. I don't want to tell anybody they can't do something. But a lot of it is kind of puts emphasis on John Bergeron being creepy, which, isn't very nice, especially with, the very high likelihood that John actually did get some undue harassment in real life or online, which, isn't very nice. But I guess other than that, though, Terra definitely has some horror potential. The uncanny valleyness of it all, the very limited amount of information we have on Terra, I definitely think you could do some good horror projects with it.
And I think some attention was brought through the wider community online, because there's a Friday Night Funkin' mod that features Terra and has a whole song that's sung by Terra and the main character in that game, and a lot of people have really come to love that mod.
Yep, I've seen that.
And James is typing. People might think it's sort of an ARG. I don't know about that. I think it would be really easy to figure out that it wasn't, unless there was a real concerted effort behind it to be one. Because I think, even though Terra isn't inherently a horror figure, she's kind of synonymous with a creepy vibe just because of how shared the creepier videos of her have been shared online.
Yeah, I mean, I guess people could believe. James says at first glance it might be viewed as an sort of an ARG.
That's true.
Yeah, especially with how like random all the information about Terra the Android is kind of scattered around.
It is really fascinating that there's so much out there, and it all, at least in the greater community, it all started from them viewing a creepy YouTube video, probably in the middle of the night around 2010, 2011.
Yeah, it.
It's a rabbit hole for sure.
I am very surprised that it's had this much staying power, where people are still like they like I said before, there's still people making videos about Terra the Android weekly or semi-weekly. I actually just searched it up on YouTube, and there's Terra the Android mystery video from 2 days ago. Terra the Android, I feel fantastic, slowed down, low pitch from 4 days ago. Creepy Android explained from 3 weeks ago that already has 5,000 views.
Oh.
Oh, here's one. Stop spreading false information about Terra the Android. Oh, that's nice.
That's kudos to whoever made that.
It's a 10-second video that just says, "Stop spreading false information. I feel so sorry for you, John Bergeron. The creator of Terra the Android is not a killer." Well, shout out, man.
Yeah. Whoever you... What's the name of the channel?
Amanda Still.
I don't think they're in our community, but yeah, whoever you are, thank you for that.
Yeah, very, much, much better than the other 100 shorts videos where, people are talking about all this creepy serial killer thing.
You've this is sort of going to your other content in a way, the truth, but you've made iceberg videos before, right?
Yes.
Have you ever made a Terra the Android iceberg video?
I have not. I've made a kind of a bare bones Terra the Android iceberg before, but not an iceberg video of itself. Sort of like a blueprint for eventually I could make a Terra the Android iceberg video, but I have not made one so far.
I think you should. People that's been like a trend for about 2.5 years now, but I really think people enjoy those iceberg videos, and if it can get more people in to investigate what's going on with Terra, that'd be even better for our community and for the internet as a whole.
Yeah, I think icebergs, sort of the format is there's surface level information, and then as you go down, you find out more stuff. I think that format would work really, really well with Terra the Android, since, you have the creepy blog, video upload, you have the serial killer rumors, that could be like the top layer of the iceberg. And then, obviously as we as a group have looked more into it, we found stuff like the original VHS tapes, Annette, Robo, the other robots. There's the whole copyright incident of 2022, all that stuff.
Oh, we didn't even talk about that, and we will. But James is saying, I forgot to mention, I found a video supposedly by John. Had a house that looked pretty much the same, with more low-quality camera. It showed a Terra-like figure with code on the PC screen. I don't know whether it's real, a recreation, or something else, but it was certainly interesting. It was uploaded in 2019 and taken down somewhere in early 2020. Oh, so you don't have this video in your possession right now? I would have wanted to see that.
Yeah, I think I've heard of that one before. That is definitely something interesting. Yeah, he says he doesn't have it anymore. It's always interesting to hear about other sources of people finding Terra the Android videos, because that could be kind of a clue or a hint to find out more about John Bergeron and the whole Terra project.
I think I mentioned it just a minute ago, but I think Truth knows a lot more about it since you actually got in contact with some of the people who are doing this. Do you want to explain the whole copyright, false, whatever thing that's going on with the videos?
Yeah, so I was checking through my claimed YouTube videos, and I saw a claim. No. My bad. I got a comment saying, RIP to the original I Feel Fantastic video. So I looked it up, and sure enough, the original Creepy Blog video from 2009 was taken down by a copyright strike. So I thought that's odd, so I contacted the company that apparently did it. It's a really small company based out of London with like three or half a dozen employees that seems to upload abandonware music videos or musical tracks on their YouTube page.
TuneCore, right?
Yeah, no, it was Terabyte something. Terabyte Music Distribution Services.
James asks, they came from one apartment, right?
Yeah, it was. I looked it up on Google Maps because I think they had their address on LinkedIn, and it wasn't like an actual building. It was like an apartment complex. But in this is the thing that really makes me feel like it's a false copyright claim. So Terabyte claims that they contacted John's family, and they obtained the rights from John's family. One, we, in all of our powers and for years, we have not been able to find John Bergeron, which makes me doubtful of that story, that this random group was able to find John Bergeron's family and talk them into giving up their rights. And then two, so Terabyte Studios, in a DM with me, claimed that they'd gotten the rights from John Bergeron's family, but if you look under the actual copyright claim, it says that it's copyrighted by TuneCore on behalf of Creepy Blog, which Creepy Blog was the original channel that uploaded John's video, or John's I Feel Fantastic video. So it makes me think that they found, this older video that still gets a lot of views. Like we said, they're still getting thousands of views. And they thought that they can copyright it. And since the original copyright owner is inactive right now, they could just get away with it, take down other videos, and then take all that ad revenue for themselves, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I was going to ask how TuneCore came into the whole thing, because it seemed like there were two companies sort of, I guess, going to battle with all these videos that were just falsely, in our opinions, falsely taken down. And because of how impossible it seemed that they actually got in contact with any of John Bergeron's family, it's just kind of a ridiculous situation. And everybody that we have talked to that had links to the original projects by John Bergeron, people who had spoken to John or had spoken to people who had themselves spoken to John, had said, we think this copyright thing is just a bunch of nonsense. Like that WebDelic guy said that he doesn't know why they were copyrighted. He doesn't think that John Bergeron would have done that. And to me personally, yeah, it's really bizarre that John Bergeron's family would just out of the blue decide to copyright claim their own stuff on YouTube when they would be trying to distance themselves from it. If anything, it would just bring in more attention and put them a little bit more under the spotlight again.
That's the other one. I actually was just looking through Terabyte's videos. They apparently had somebody upload a Capcom music video or song to their channel, and then they started copyright claiming other videos that featured that song. So there's actually a bunch of people in their comments right now, kind of calling them out for it.
It's just weird. I mean, I think you got into this a little bit, but what is your personal, not definitive, but what is your main theory as to what's going on here?
I think somebody uploaded the Terror the Android video, and since nobody had claimed to have the copyright for the video before, they were just able to copyright strike every video that featured it to get the money from it.
I think, and didn't you have to change the audio in some of your own videos because they were able to use the bot system on YouTube to auto strike any of the videos that had that music in it, right?
Yeah. In my in my second Terror the Android video, I included a 40-second snippet of I Feel Fantastic, and the video yeah, I got a copyright strike for that 40 seconds. So I had to go through afterwards and change the audio to some generic song, which,
That's a bummer.
yeah, was not fun.
James suggests you should add the OG audio back and pitch it up 2 semitones. That's not a bad idea.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I can, but I will definitely try and do that.
It's weird
as soon as possible.
because there's the one semi-viral video that's I Feel Fantastic, the full source tape, and that hasn't been taken down, and the audio is unchanged on that one.
So I actually knew that guy. I've talked to that before. Let me see. I Feel Fantastic, full source.
Oh, you knew the guy who uploaded that?
Yep, Yitz. I should mention my video wasn't taken down. It was copyright claimed. So basically they made all the ad revenue.
Oh.
Now, if you look through Yitz's video, if you click show more in the description, you can actually see that there was a musical claim for I Feel Fantastic by the same people who copyright claimed my video and claimed the original one as well.
Yitz, 1.5 million views. Oh, yeah. And the artist is just called Terra the Android. And
yeah.
Actually, looking at the description, that's another point that I was going to bring up earlier, but I forgot. It's kind of been all over the place, but I still think we've talked about a lot of good stuff here, so I'm not disappointed. This person, Yitz, mentions that after a little searching, I discovered the viral I Feel Fantastic video a year or so ago and immediately became interested in how it came to be. After a little searching, I found that the first available reference to it is here. Oh, wait, skipping. That's not the part I wanted to read. Okay. I've also included screenshots of what I believe to be the source of the false rumor that the creator is a serial killer. And now, actually, I think we've looked through these screenshots ourselves, and we've, there's some debate over where the rumor itself started. Do we have anything more definitive on that we'd want to talk about? Where the rumors started?
Yeah, so basically what we've been trying to do, one of our goals, is to track down the original creepypasta where whoever made up the theory that Terry the Android was a serial killer or John Bergeron was a serial killer. Yitz believed that it was this post in 2015, but I found references going back to like 2011-ish, 2010-ish. So right now we don't actually know who made the original post.
I'd bet $1 million it was some 12-year-old who downed a can of Monster and decided to act creepy online for the sake of acting creepy, and then it just spread like wildfire. Another thing that he says...
Right. Yeah, I'm looking at...
Oh, yeah. Sorry. He includes the description of Terra from, I believe this is from one of John's websites, is Android prototype named Terra, after the mathematical significance of Terra, spelled with an E, uses a display for theme parks, trade shows, advertising, research for computer vision processing or AI-human interaction, home use for entertainment, with the subtitle, Terra has an electric personality. You can be in complete control of this android. Security. One human operator can remote control several androids while remaining safely in a more secure location. Male and other android appearances are possible. Provides deterrence and a friendly appearance. Music videos or live music performances, especially if modified first. So with all that being taken into account, if there was an alternate reality where Terra and John Bergeron's startup industry had actually taken off, where do you think that his products would be today? Like, how would they be used? Would they be used as his original vision? Like, what do you think the expanded vision would have looked like?
I could see, with more advanced technology, maybe going in the route of what Valerie was supposed to be. A robot that kind of helped people out, kind of did housework. But Terry the Android was more of an entertainment robot. So I could see like a lot of people compare the two, but like a Hatsune Miku thing, where it's a robot musician. I think that's probably if Terry the Injured got big, that's probably the route she would go.
Because I think I don't know the currency conversion, but back then it was John was offering to sell Terra for 20 grand, and that's not that's a lot of fucking money. I'll just say it like that. It would probably
Well, if you look at
oh, I'm sorry.
if you look at like the animatronics market, because I feel like Terry the Android is most similar to like those singing Chuck E. Cheese animatronics and stuff like that.
Yeah.
She's like a more advanced version of that. So whatever, I don't think that market is like booming right now, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure the commercial viability of it.
What I was going to say is, yeah, 20 grand is a lot of money, but you also have to factor in the point that, at least with what we were shown, Terra also required a computer to be plugged into the back of the unit to actually function. Like, she couldn't work on her own. She could only just kind of stand there in whatever pose the user would put her in if she didn't have access to a specific kind of cable and a computer that could operate her from a distance or just, slightly off of wherever she was being displayed. So you'd need both an average of 20 grand or more plus a functional computer to actually operate the thing. So it would definitely be something for the higher class to use and that sort of thing.
Yeah, I think the best application would be some sort of business use or something like that.
We
Like
have
a
some
permanent
people...
fixture somewhere.
There was a point in one of John Bergeron's own videos that he made Terra say, "Oh, I will probably end up being an advertising display at a car place or something like that, if I remember correctly."
Yeah,
So,
car dealership or something like that.
yeah.
I
We keep doing that. Sorry.
I
Go.
don't know about that. I mean, just thinking about car dealership advertisements, they're all, I mean, online it's like if you look at like, commercials, they're all, focused on the cars, prices, stuff like that. And then of course they have those big wavy guys that are moving around,
Yeah.
the blow up inflatables. I'm not sure, there's like a market for a $30,000 singing android for a car dealership, if that makes sense.
Well, I mean, I guess he was just appealing to a different kind of market back in the day. I mean, this was 20 years ago, more than 20 years ago at this point when he started this whole thing.
Okay, James says that she said she could also be used for greeting customers at the door.
I could see
That's
that.
potential. That's potential. I think that's like a almost like a sci-fi thing, like you walk in, there's like a robot telling you, "Oh, hello, sir. Have a nice day. You can take a right to go see the dealership or showrooms. Take a left, back left, something like that." Where the $30,000 upfront price is more than like, paying a guy $8 an hour to be like a greeter at the door or something like that.
Mm-hmm. And then 6 hours later, the horror movie plot starts, and those androids are the only people in the buildings, and then the protagonists get chased around by him or something like that.
So James says, I would say Terra would have been canceled, and John would have worked with Chris's Valerie android. I definitely agree.
Chris?
Chris was the guy who ran AndroidWorlds.com, which was where the Valerie android was kind of being worked on. That's where the Valerie android was first featured on, or first talked about on his website.
Oh, yeah, because you guys had mentioned that Valerie was a collaborative project and not really a John original creation.
Yep. And Chris was also the guy who sold the Terra the Android DVDs. I think he just recently sold one too a few years back. But anyway, I definitely agree. I think a housework or a housekeeping android that helps, with your tasks and stuff like that is definitely more viable than a $30,000 singing project.
It's almost like what we thought future tech would be a couple decades ago, right? Like you'd have a super modern looking car, automated house, robot that does everything for you, so you don't have to do it yourself. And what is this? It would have been interesting to see Valerie in action. I think it would have been interesting to see all of them in action if they had survived to 2022, which is when we're recording this.
Yeah, I wish he would have kept working on them because like. I don't know like the state of robots at that time, but I feel like with modern technology and especially modern software, he could do like a lot more with like a modern day Terra.
It's another reason I was so disappointed that we didn't actually get to find the original Terra and it was all a scam. So, just another thing to add to the cool history of Terra the android.
It would have been cool to get that working.
But I think this actually brings us to another point, is that people specifically in our community, I'm not sure about the Reddit circles, but in our Discord server, people are actually saying that they are inspired by this whole phenomena to get into robotics and getting into the entertainment industry, which I think that's a really cool thing, personally.
Yeah. I agree. I was in a couple robotics classes and groups as a kid, and yeah, it would be psyched to see people do that. I mean, Five Nights at Freddy's, the animatronics game, that probably inspired a lot of people to go into either animatronics or the entertainment industry.
Not to mention, I am in the process of remaking Robo. Oh, I didn't actually know that, James. How is that going, then? Tell us about that.
Yeah, James says that there's a user in the Discord, I believe, trying to create Annette, the android, and that he's remaking Robo Jax's.
Which, I mean, good on that guy. Definitely. I think there was another android. It wasn't one of John's. It was, what was it called? Tian? The interactive android, right?
Yep. That's one. I think that was the one that James's grandfather was working on.
Okay. I guess we could talk a little bit about that, too. So in response to me asking how Robo is going, great, it is super interesting to discover more of the robotics world. It's extremely simple and only has one operating arm right now. Okay. And how much do you know about Tian, or however it was pronounced, from your grandfather? You want to tell us a little bit about Tian? While he types that out, I'm going to pull up some more info here. Okay, James continues. About Tian, I guess. His last remaining parts were thrown out from my parents' house while I helped them clean by the cleaner who does weekly inspections. That's really disappointing, actually, because I think there was a picture or something a while back of Tian's legs, because that was what was only was recoverable after a while. Really, they got thrown out. That's really sad to hear. I'm sorry to hear about that.
Yeah, that's a shame. I do think it's interesting how like different Terra is from like the Boston Dynamics projects going on now.
Yeah.
Where like they're trying to get a robot to just stand up and like walk around and pick up a single box. Which does make me think that the Valerie project was probably canceled out of complexity. Because if Boston Dynamics was working on a robot that can like barely pick up a box and barely walk around, I'm not sure they could get Valerie working in 2004 with probably like a 1% of the budget Boston Dynamics has.
So this was a question that I was going to ask John before I figured out that John was fake. But I'm just going to rephrase it so it makes more sense here. What kind of software do you guys think that John used to make the music videos?
I don't know. I'm not actually familiar with like the software that was used back then. I think he had I know he had I believe he said that he was working on an artificial instrument program, where the program would emit piano keys or piano sounds based on what he inputted into the computer.
Oh, James missed the question. The question is, and I'm rephrasing this from a question that I was going to ask the fake John, is what kind of software do you guys think that the actual John used to make the music videos? And to me, it kind of almost sounds like a MIDI soundtrack, but just a little bit off and a little bit more ethereal in sound quality. There's also a theory floating around out there that the music was randomly generated, and that's why it sounds so weird.
I'm not sure randomly generated. I don't think it was, plotted out maybe, or like written complex with a lot of complexity, considering it was like a lot of the music was just dun 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 dun, like the same beat going over and over and then switching every 30, 40 seconds or so. But I'm not sure about random generation. I feel like that would just sound like really bad.
Or maybe procedurally generated would be the better way to put that. Like, it still follows a pattern, but it's like not intentionally designed that way, I guess. And James says harmony assistant for the singing voice, with the, I'm guessing, with the e-speak program behind it as well, for the regular speaking voice, not the singing voice. And here's another one, and this is a question that everybody's been asking since the original video. Why do you guys think that John Bergeron had shots that randomly zoomed into like nature, a backyard, a power line, and that sort of thing? Because this is one of the most hotly debated topics across the entire phenomena. So, what are your guys' input on that?
Yeah, just quick refresher for people.
Right.
In the I Feel Fantastic music video and the other music videos, in between the videos of Terra the Android, there's like random cut to John just filming parts of like a backyard, parts of a power line, parts of a tree, and then it just cuts back to Terra. There's no really explanation for it. There's no really reason to put it in the music video. It doesn't like line up with the lyrics or anything. There's two main theories behind it. One is that it was sort of a technological demonstration where John was either demonstrating like his camera quality, what he could do with his camera, and I think some person even theorized that Terra the Android herself was the one recording through like a camera in the eye or something.
Yeah.
And the other theory, my pet theory, is that it was just a way to be artistic, just a way to shake things up. Just putting like random shots of nature into the music video to kind of break the monotony. And the reason I say that is John also edited parts of the music videos with Terra in it by like, I think in one part he put a static effect over the floor Terra was sitting on. In one part he flipped the video so that Terra was upside down. He put like rainbow effects over the video at one point, I think. So I think that was just him experimenting with like editing or music video artistry or something like that. It is definitely going to be, if we ever find John Bergeron, the top of my priority list to ask, though.
Because that was one of the supposed pieces of evidence, quote unquote, that John was a serial killer. It's like, oh, that backyard is where he buried the bodies of his victims, and some nonsense.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, there's this random backyard shot, which I guess, even though there's like there was no signs that he was digging there at all or anything like that. But if you actually watch all of the music videos, you can tell it's just random nature, and there's no, real meaning behind it or anything like that.
But yeah, what I was going to follow up with is, James, didn't you recover a freeze frame of Terra with like a weird camera-looking thing over one of her eyes, and that's kind of what led people to think that she might have cameras in place of where her eyes would be, right?
Yes, hang on. Let me put the video in the doc here. That's actually wrong thing. That's actually one of the thumbnails for one of the videos I made. But I'll send it in here.
I recovered 3 of them. Okay. And Oni has a few questions for us since I advertised. Yeah, that's the one we're talking about.
So in one of the older versions of Terra, where she has more the palish skin, the black wig, you can see what looks to be like a large camera lens in place of one of her eyes, which has led people to speculate that she was modified to be able to record stuff.
It looks like it's just placed on her face, though. If you look at it in a certain way, it really,
yeah, I agree.
It brings more question of what exactly the face was made out of. If something like that was that modular, and it looks like either a camera was just put into the face or cut out from the face. In if you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's definitely odd the way it's like constructed. But
Oni has a few questions, and I'm going to read from some of them. I'm not sure if they'll work, but we'll see what we think about them. A few questions. One is, do you think John has any other hidden secrets? I'm not sure what he means by that.
Depends on what you mean by secrets. Like, for example, like the Flickr stuff that we just found. I think John could have something, maybe John was an architecture enthusiast or something like that. Because, we found those photos where he made some sort of architecture-looking image. Maybe since we found that video from what looks to be his YouTube page, where he talks about a sustainability challenge, maybe John entered into a series of like online contests or something way back in 2007. I think in terms of secrets, that's probably the closest we're going to get to something, mysterious about John Bergeron. I don't think he's like a secret billionaire or anything.
I'm not really thinking that we're going to find secrets. It's just more things that John has posted online that we haven't quite found yet. So, 2, do you think Creepyblog might have worked with Webdelic during 2005 to 2006? I have no idea on that one myself.
Yeah, I'm going to lean against that, I guess, just because, again, I'm not sure if I don't think Creepyblog was ever directly associated with John or anybody who worked on the Terror the Android thing. Just because, it's of Creepyblog's kind of negative comments about Terror the Android. Or about John Bergeron himself, I should say.
Any thoughts from you, James? I personally don't really know that much about Webdelic and Creepyblog, so I don't really have that much to say on that myself.
Yeah, my view is if Webdelic worked with John Bergeron, I don't think they were him and Creepyblog ever talked.
James
mentioned something about him about Webdelic working with Creepyblog very distantly. Okay, so there might be something there, but
I don't remember Webdelic ever mentioning Creepyblog, though. He might be talking about John Bergeron.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
From my understanding, from any of the people that we have, talking about John, not Creepyblog. From my understanding, none of the people that we've contacted that have any relation to John Bergeron's projects have ever said anything about Creepyblog, negative or positive, or any involvement. So at this point, I think I'm just going to go with your theory, Truth, is that Creepyblog was an otherwise uninvolved individual that did it for creep factor, honestly. 3 from Oni says, have you seen any Terra photos or videos that are deleted now? Can you tell us what they were about? I saw one that was a bit of a joke video, and it was Terra, a freeze frame of Terra that was done with like that AI lip syncing or whatever, and it was singing some meme song a couple of years ago. Gone now. Didn't really have any impact on actual Terra stuff, but that counts. I think James was saying that he saw something a couple years ago, 2019, 2020. Yeah, that was it. Yeah. That was it.
Harder, Faster, Stronger by Daft Punk. Yeah.
I think it was that Wumbo AI thing that was making the lip sync. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I remember that. There was a software that kind of edited photos to be able to make them sing. Or, I guess, sing, quote unquote.
And James, a couple minutes ago, or a bit ago, said that he did see a video of Terra, or at least what he thought was Terra, on YouTube or somewhere in 2020, I think, and it's not there anymore, right? 2019, yeah. So, yeah, that question was pretty much already answered. Unless, Truth, have you seen anything that's been deleted yet?
No, I don't think I have. Everything I remember is from Halloween Android, Creepy Blog, Neo, or through actually looking at the website. At the archived websites.
And for which Webdelic pictures do you think were real? And for those who don't know, again, Webdelic makes terror-related videos and has in some of them some pictures that have a more expanded view of the room that Terra was filmed in, and some pictures of Terra that we hadn't seen before. But we had contacted him after the fact, and he had explained that some of them weren't actually real photos. Some of them were extrapolations and interpolations. Yeah, interpolations, like James says. I think that the wide shot photos could be real, but they could just as likely be interpolations. Some of them are obviously real, and we just haven't seen them before because he worked sort of with John Bergeron back then. It's really hard to tell. It's really hard to tell which are real and which aren't. I'm gonna make a guess and say that some of the more leaning towards scandalous pictures, quote unquote, of Terra, they could be fake just for the sake of a video, I guess. Definitely the ones that are fake are the ones that are like HD AI enhanced views of Terra's face. Those are obviously more interpolations. Yeah, like James says, they have a weird AI feel to them. Have you seen these videos, Truth? Do you know what we're talking about?
I have seen. I haven't looked very closely into them. I don't know, real or not, I'm not sure if it makes that big of a difference.
Because when we talked to him a couple of days ago, he said that he did have some unreleased photos that John Bergeron hadn't shared with anybody else except for the guys on the project, but he wasn't too keen on releasing them because of the fact that other people were involved in making them, and they wouldn't have agreed to release them publicly. So I guess the images in some of his videos are the best that we're going to get as far as that goes.
Yeah, that's understandable.
James even went so far as to try his own hand at recreating the whole dang room. And it doesn't look all that bad, I gotta say. Just for Photoshop, it looks pretty... not 100% accurate, but it looks pretty similar to what Webdelic put in his own videos of the wider shots of Terra's filming room. Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah, pretty cool.
I think that's all for my my little outline that I had typed up. I don't really have any more topics about it, so I guess maybe we should just try and start wrapping this up, unless either of you have anything you want to bring up about the Terra phenomenon that we haven't talked about already.
Yeah, I just want to say one thing. One definite thing I'm looking for is there was a Reddit post from like 2016-ish, 2017-ish, I want to say, that's since been deleted, but it linked to a YouTube video that was allegedly from a relative of John's, basically saying the same thing we are, that John isn't a serial killer, stop harassing him, stuff like that. If anybody recognizes that video or has a copy of it by chance, please reach out to me, because I would appreciate it.
So and we that could actually track down the comment.
Yes. Obviously, if anybody, happens to know John Bergeron or knows of him, his family, and do you think you could contact him in a non-intrusive or nice way? That would also be pretty appreciated. And if anybody knows of a way to contact Mr. Oizo, that's Oizo again, I would love to get in contact with him and sort of see where he got the original I Feel Fantastic videos that he apparently uploaded all those years ago, just to see if he has any more light to share on the situation.
To add on to that, sorry to cut you off, but to add on to that, just if anybody out there was also able to purchase the VHS tapes like James' grandfather did back in the day and has them, please share your findings. We would love to see what the VHS tapes had on them. If they're a little bit less degraded than the ones that James currently has, that would be invaluable to our investigation.
Yes, that'd be very appreciated. Again, like James says, any other ways to contact John, basically any information in general too as well. If you happen to stumble upon the website in like 2000-ish, or if you know anything else about the case, I would appreciate it. One thing I will say, I have been contacted before by people who believe to have found John Bergeron in a teaching video. I'd just like to say that is not John Bergeron. That doesn't match up with any of the information we have about John Bergeron. So I appreciate people reaching out to me, sharing that video with me. However, unfortunately, that is not John.
I personally also would not recommend directly contacting John without a lot of preparation and making sure that you're doing it in a very respectful way. If you also feel so obliged, you can instead join our community. And recently we've kind of taken it upon ourselves to make sure that it is a rule that nobody in our community is going to try and contact or harass John, and basically it's me, James, and Truth are the elected figures to, if we find any information on how to contact John or anybody around John, is that we're the ones to do it, and we make sure that we're very respectful and non-intrusive, like Truth has said before. So yeah, if you feel like you have something to add, or if you feel like you have a way to contact John, please consider joining our community. Again, the link is going to be in the description of this video and on James's channel there. I'll link that too, as well as Truth's channel. Yeah, I think that's about wrapping it up. If you guys want to, again, for the people who have stuck around this long, if you want to, again, describe who you are to the audience and what you do about Terra and other non-Terra related content, yeah, feel free to do so now.
Yeah, I'm a mystery channel. I love covering mysteries, lost media, cryptozoology. That's like the study of animals like Bigfoot and stuff like that. If you want to check me out, I would definitely appreciate it. I have a bunch of videos on Terra the Android that go into more depth about certain findings we've had and stuff like that. Kind of more the history of Terra the Android and more obscure things that we found. James has said that I believe James has a channel too, but he's actually working on a documentary about Terra the Android with another creator in our group, so definitely check that out when it's ready.
And I think, as he has said before, James is just a Terra the Android enthusiast and has a lot of stuff to offer the community, so that's the majority of his content that he posts online is in our community and on Reddit and that kind of thing. Again, and of course you all know me, I'm Midnight Researcher. I post pretty much whatever I want to in terms of horror, mysteries, and just things that intrigue me, and one of those is Terra the Android, and that's why I decided to get involved in this community and to make this podcast. And this is episode 1 of my podcast. It's not mainly about Terra the Android, but this episode is, and part of the reason is because we wanted to get the message out there to anybody who otherwise might not know about Terra right now. Reach an audience that we hadn't otherwise touched, and with that audience could come more information. So again, if you have anything that you think could help us that we haven't already figured out, please join, let us know, leave a comment, anything that you think would help. So, with that being said, this has been James, aka Crappy Pastry 99, Truth is Scarier, and Midnight Researcher. This has been Nightly Nuance number 1. Thank you for tuning in. Be sure to subscribe to this channel and their 2 channels. Links down in the description. See you guys later.